And I think we're good to go. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for our Valentine's edition of our Inspired series. My name is Beck McAllister. I'm a consultant in the Southern Highlands, formerly from Canberra. I'm leading us tonight because our two BDMs, Claire and Megan, who many of you would have met if you've been to one of these before, they're about to jet off to Germany. So they're going to visit our parent company Vorwerk in Germany for a week. So lucky them, you've got me instead. You've got the lovely Anna, you've got Sally, and you've also got Angela. So they'll introduce themselves once they get to their recipe. Now, we have chosen, what have we got, girls? 5 recipes tonight. I'm going to be kicking us off with a cocktail. It's a lemongrass Prosecco. We've got Sally is doing our dessert.
Yep. Yes, cashew and raspberry panna cotta.
Panna cotta. Angela is going to do some delicious.
I can't get it to. Oh, hang on, maybe Cass.
I think I'm just going to mute somebody there. Bear with me. Who else have we got? So oysters from Angela, and she's going to follow up with a hot chocolate. And Anna is doing our special main course tonight. So it's a lovely spicy cashew salmon dish with some veggies and rice on the side. How does that sound, everybody? All right. Whilst we kick things off, I'd love if you could just pop a little comment in the chat box where you're zooming in from, how long you've had your Thermomix, and your favourite thing you've ever cooked in your Thermomix. I'll come back to those in a minute, but it's just a nice way to get to know who's here. Anyway, I'm going to kick us off with a simple lemongrass syrup. So this is a recipe from Cookie Do. I saved it into my weekly meal plan for tonight so that I knew exactly where to find it. So really, the beginning of this cocktail is a syrup. So we've got lemongrass, sugar, water, and we're going to cook that down for about 10 minutes. It's really, really easy. And this is the lovely thing about the Thermomix is that you can do these hands-free syrups and things like that really, really easily. Now, the recipe is 160 grams of brown sugar. I, in fact, didn't check my pantry and only had 60 grams. So I'm substituting the rest with raw sugar. So we've got 160 grams of sugar going in there. Then we've got 100 grams of lemongrass. So I've actually been growing lemongrass the last year or two in a pot in my garden. So I was very fortunate. I didn't have to go to the shops and buy 100 grams, but I think I worked out it's about 4 stalks. So I've just chopped that into sort of 4 5-centimetre pieces because we're going to strain this out at the end. So it's really just going to be there to infuse the syrup. Then I'm going to put in 160 grams of water. And put on the lid. Now, for anyone who makes a lot of syrups, sauces, jam, pickles, any of that sort of thing, a little tip for you is that you can actually sterilise your jars whilst you're cooking. So with this one, the cooking time is actually going to be 20 minutes. So that should be plenty of time to make lots of lovely steam to sterilise my jars. So really, all you need to do is grab your Varoma, pop your jars and your lids inside, sit that on top. Obviously, you need the lid. And then off it goes. So that's going to cook for 20 minutes, aroma temp speed 1. I think next up, I'm going to throw across to the lovely Sally, and she's going to show you her panna cotta.
Yes, hi, I'm Sally, and I'm right down on the far south coast from Eden all the way through to Narooma, part of the Coastal Gems now, and lovely to share with you. Thanks for inviting us along, Beck, into Pinnacle Inspired series. So I'm making the cashew panna cotta with the raspberry sauce. I don't know if anyone's tried these panna cottas before. Traditionally, you make them with cream, but there's also, as we know in Cookie Do, so many other variations. So this one is using cashews, and once you see the blending of how smooth it is, I hope you'll be inspired to try it. So the first stage is to make the panna cotta sort of filling, and then I go on to the sauce after later on. So first of all, I'm going to pop in the raw sugar. So popping that in, as we all know, having one type of sugar is really handy. And half a vanilla bean already cut into 2 centimetre pieces. So I've got my very precious, expensive vanilla bean carefully. Has anyone seen the price of them recently? Carefully on my bamboo chopping board. And I'm just going to pop that in, not dropping a bit on the floor because they're very precious. And just popping on the measuring cup again, we're going to mill that, and that will release, which I wish you could smell that aroma through the vanilla and the sugar. But these are the cashews that are going in next. Beautiful cashews. Did Sue make that really quiet? Okay, so I have obviously that gorgeous milled flour. And in will go my cashews. I'll just scrape that down because we want to get a really even blend. And the agar. So when I've done panna cottas before, you can use sort of the traditional ingredients like the eggs and the cream and so forth. But this one, agar is a thickener, and it's a seaweed. So it's an extract of seaweed. You used to be able to, so I think it depends on the brand. You might get it at Coles or Woolworths, but this one, because I couldn't get it at Woolworths, I got from the health food shop. So it's 2.5 teaspoons. I'm going to pop that in. I'm actually going a little bit generous because I've made this recipe before, and I know it sometimes doesn't set as firm as I want. So I'm going to be quite generous with those measurements. And it's saying sunflower oil. I've just switched it for a macadamia oil, so a light type of oil. Pop that in. And 500 grams of water. I thought I had that measured out, ready to go. Bear with me. I'll just do that again. I think someone's been tidying up. I'll just put in my 500 grams of water. Now this makes the best, smoothest cashew cream out. So, and on goes our measuring cup and lid. I now have 1 minute 30 to 10. So I'm not sure, Beck, if you can talk over me in that process, because I know it's so loud or powerful, I won't be able to sort of talk
That's
through it.
okay, Sal.
I'll just get that
Give a minute to do that.
Yeah.
So here's a pop quiz. Who knows what the top speed is on their Thermomix? I'm not saying speed 10. How fast do the blades turn? Does anyone know? Anna knows. 10,700 RPM. That's right, isn't it? Did I get that right? Or is it 11?
I say 10,000, so you are more accurate.
I think it's 10,700 at highest speed. So there's a fun fact for you all. I'm just looking at those comments to see what people have made. So chocolate strawberry domes, Margaret's been making. 2 fails, Natasha, on coconut yogurt. Anna's probably the expert on that one. She can maybe give us her link to her favourite recipe for coconut yogurt and any tips a little bit later on. Who else have we got? Steve from Nowra. He's had his Thermomix for 2 years. Oh, yeah, Joy makes hug in a mug chicken soup. That's a nice one to give to your loved one if they're not feeling well. Jackie in Canberra has made cinnamon scrolls and fish curry. That, in fact, if she's talking about the coconut fish curry on Cookie Do, that's one of my favorite dishes to cook for a special meal. It's like restaurant quality. We love it. I reckon Sally's nearly done. I can see her stopping her Thermomix. There we go.
Feels like a long minute and a half, but I'll just show you that consistency now of this cashew cream, basically with vanilla. For the next stage, I'm just going to weigh the raspberries for the sauce on top, and then I'm going to show you the tray of how these panna cottas will be set. And then once it's cooking and sort of simmering down, I will pass over to the next presenter so I can just see the gorgeous
beautiful
texture,
consistency.
just like you would if you were doing a traditional panna cotta.
Beautiful, Sal. Thank you.
So, okay, so that goes on the lid. So just for the weighing of the raspberries, I'll just pop them into the bowl. So the juice is already strained, but I got this organized a little bit earlier for the sauce, so you can still see a little bit of liquid. So I'll take some of that out.
So Sally, you've just manually turned on the scales to do that?
Yes. Well, yes, you would actually. Yes, I didn't actually weigh that then because I pre-weighed it before.
Okay. So for those who don't know how to do that, you can pause the recipe and sort of just like go in to manually turn on your scales.
Yeah. So you can do two ways. Yeah. So you can basically be in that step, but go to your 3 dots and the scales here. Pop what you're weighing on into the bowl, or as I did, on top.
Top. Perfect. Thank you.
And then we're going to, for the next step, just pop the simmering basket on top, because what that's going to do is cook that down for 8 minutes, and then we'll come back to this recipe. And so while that's cooking, it's actually at 100 degrees speed 3, so it's going to be sort of really stirring it quite consistently. But basically what I've got that I'll be using later on, I've got a combination of the dariole molds, which you can buy from the mix shop, and they're basically like little silicone cups like that. So you can use these for this sort of recipe, or alternatively, the other idea, you could also use these lovely yogurt jars as well, and they're also from the mix shop as well.
Beautiful.
Those ready on the tray for when we get to that next step and make the sauce.
That's fine. All right. So I think we're going to move across now to the lovely Anna.
Hi guys. So my name's Anna Kelly. I have been a Thermomix consultant for about 3.5 years. I'm from Canberra. I'm currently living in Singapore, but the beauty of this business is you can run it virtually. So I'm supporting all my customers back home via Zoom and email and all those things. Yeah, and we will be returning back to Canberra eventually, but it's been a nice little getaway for a couple of years. So I'm making the salmon with ginger sauce and spiced cashews. And this being a Valentine's edition, we've chosen meals that are a little bit fancier. The beauty of the Thermomix, I know that obviously a lot of people eat out at Valentine's Day, but you know, it's so much cheaper to eat at home, and often you're able to create your own meals that is nicer. And it's nice because then you can say, you know, it's coming from love, you've made it yourself. And people who can't cook can make really fancy stuff like this one here. So yeah, my husband would be able to cook this and he can't cook, so this is why the Thermomix is amazing. So to start with, we are adding in some fresh chili, a couple of sprigs of coriander, one shoot of, what do you call it, spring onion, 3 centimeters of ginger, and a clove of garlic. So I'll just step through all of those. And then we are adding the lid and chopping those up quickly. Where's the, here it is. On speed 7. Okay, so now it's just asking me to scrape down the sides of the bowl very quickly. never gets old being able to dice up all of that so quickly. And now I'm adding a tablespoon of lemon juice, 2 teaspoons of honey, and a tablespoon of soy sauce. So I'm gluten-free. This meal is a gluten-free meal as long as you just swap out for the gluten-free soy or tamari. So all of that goes in. Now I put the measuring cup back in and I'm mixing that together for 10 seconds.
Natasha, we chose this salmon recipe. We had a few ideas thrown around of what to make for the main tonight, and we all agreed that this was one of our favourites. So that's why we decided to show you this one, and it's really, really good.
I've probably made this 20 times, like it is almost a regular in our household. So here is that kind of, it's hard to show you.
It's like marinade sort of
Yeah,
dressing.
marinated ginger, garlic, etc., etc. So I'm setting that aside, and now the Thermomix is telling me, I love it when it does this, don't clean the mixing bowl. We want those flavors from that to go into the next thing. So now I'm adding a tablespoon of olive oil. If you are worried about just throwing it in yourself, I like to use this little marker here as an exact tablespoon. That little hole in your measuring cup will tell you what a tablespoon is. I'm adding 1/4 teaspoon of Szechuan peppercorns. To be honest, I didn't have any, so I've just done a little bit of pepper and some Chinese 5-spice. A very distinct flavour, and it seems odd going with salmon, but once you try this, you'll realise how good it is. And then 60 grams of raw cashews and a pinch of salt. So then we place the simmering basket on top this time, and we are cooking that for 4 minutes. Now, I don't know about you, but do you ever use the preview mode? So once you get something set and it's sauteing or doing something, I never just sit there and wait for it. I always preview ahead. So the next step is telling me to add it's going to drizzle. So I'm just going a fair way ahead here, just seeing what's coming up. So I'm drizzling some of this on here. I've missed where it is. Do you remember how much it is?
I think it's about half by memory. And
Oh,
then
1 to 2 tablespoons, that's right. So
yeah.
Here's my salmon. Skidded past it. So I'm going to be putting that on the Varoma tray. And so that I don't get any of that on the bench, I'm just going to use this like a trivet underneath. So I've put my salmon on. Show you here. And just so the salmon gets a little bit of extra flavour, I'm going to put a couple of tablespoons of this on top. And I'll just spread that around. And so then when I do get to that step, I'll have already done it.
Beautiful.
And I think now onto the lovely Angela.
I might just get you before we move on, Anna, just to explain that you're going to put your hard vegetables in the bottom of the Varoma with the salmon to begin the recipe, and then add
yes.
ones
Yeah,
partway
okay.
through.
So it says to add into the Varoma 150 grams of zucchini, which I have here prepared, and also a bunch of broccoli. It says broccolini, but I've done broccoli. And then actually later on we're going to be doing the bok choy as well, but they're going to be cooking the hard veggies first, and then 6 minutes later we're going to be doing the bok choy, and it's staging it so that we're not overcooking the bok choy, which is what will happen often if you're just doing, your own steaming in a tub.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right, so you'll get that started and we'll come back to you when they're partway done.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. Angela, oysters for Valentine's Day.
Hi everyone, I'm Angela Anthony. I'm a Canberra-based consultant. I've been doing this for 2 years now, And I wanted to show you oysters. Just Beck and Sally and Anna have been touching on how much money you can save if you do your cooking at home for Valentine's Day, and they charge so much money for oysters at a restaurant, and it's so easy to do them at home. So I wanted to show you how you could do those at home, and my Thermomix has agreed we're definitely online. That's a huge relief. So I'm doing oysters
Mignonette.
Sorry, I was practicing and practicing and practicing. I'm no good with French pronunciation. Even though it's a French name, it's actually an American recipe. So we start with our 30 grams of echalot. That's really simple. Just pop those in there. And then we're going to mix those a couple of times to get them nice and small in our sauce.
So I think, Angela, you've got the little French shallots, right? The little purple ones.
I did, yeah. I got the little, you're right, the little purple ones. I think my husband very kindly just grabbed them from Coles for me on his way home this evening. But last time I made this, I was like, oh, I don't have any echalot, and I couldn't be bothered going out and getting any. And I think I just decided to substitute with garlic, and I enjoyed that as well. This is a really, really basic sauce we're doing tonight as per the recipe in Cookie Do, but really don't hesitate to exercise your imagination. It's really just a light vinegar dressing that we're doing tonight. You can add watermelon, you can add lime, you can add apple, you can put in lemon juice, whatever you like, really. You can make it as fancy or keep it as plain as you want.
And Angela, did you buy your oysters already shucked from the fish market, or?
They're definitely already shucked, but I actually bought them from Costco. So if you do have a Costco nearby, that's usually where I get them. I think you get 14 oysters. I can't remember what I paid for them, but they're very, I thought they were very reasonably priced, and that's typically where I go to for my oysters. I haven't quite ventured into trying to shuck them myself, basically because I'm worried about doing myself an injury. So I've just added in the white wine vinegar, 60 grams of that. I've gone a tiny bit over, I dare say I'll cope. And then we're going with 90 grams of red wine vinegar. So really, just to reiterate, all we've got so far is the echalot, the white wine vinegar, the red wine vinegar, which I've forgotten. My bottle of red wine vinegar is a very, very slow pour, so just bear with me. The good thing is it's a super simple recipe, so even though we're only on the third ingredient, we're actually almost at the end.
Too. Sorry, I'm just cutting you off for a second, because some people in the chat said that they have TM5s. So being able to pour things into a TM6 in little drips like that, it weighs in 1 gram increments, which I absolutely love. The old models never did that. So even though you're dripping, it's still accurate.
It's fine. You get away with it. That's absolutely right. All right. Sorry, just get. It says a teaspoon of black pepper. I always just eyeball these things and just give it, a reasonable amount of black pepper. A teaspoon, probably. I'm not big on pepper. It seems a bit excessive to me. I'm not going to do that much. That's probably plenty. Quarter of a teaspoon of sea salt, and again, something like that. I just eyeball. Give it a nice little blitz together. All right. So I'm just going to pour the sauce into a little serving bowl. Oh, that smells so good. Now, this recipe is actually for 36 oysters. I didn't buy 36 oysters because with only 2 people at home, that's way too many oysters. But you can see I've just popped couple of the oysters, I've just actually got them sitting there on a bed of rock salt. But if you wanted to, you could actually blitz up some ice in your pan mix and sit them on a bed of ice. And then all you want to do, you just pop it all out together, and you're just putting a little teaspoon of your mignonette sauce onto each oyster and serve immediately. The advice I read online, I did a little bit of research when I was trying to work out how to pronounce the name of my recipe tonight. It did say you might want to leave your sauce a little while just to let all the flavors develop a little bit. And as I was saying, I'm going to have way too much sauce. That's fine. You saw exactly what I put into it. I'm going to pop that into a vacuum seal container, what I've got left over, and I'm just going to use that to dress salad leaves the next couple of nights, so nothing goes to waste, basically. But you can see that's not complicated. You can whip that up in a few minutes. And if you're an oyster lover, why not give it a go on Friday?
Thanks, Angela. Anna, how did your cashew mix go?
Yeah, so this is my cashew mix. Really yummy, really basic too. And so what I've done is I've added 500 grams of water to the bowl, and I've just stepped through that part of the recipe that I fast forwarded before, adding my salmon and the hard veggies to the varoma and popping it on top. And then I am cooking it for 6 minutes. Once that 6 minutes finishes, I'll add these, and then I'm going to be cooking it for another 5 minutes after that. Then it's just a simple case of putting it all together. Now, this is a great recipe if you're wanting to eat low carb, because there is the only carbs in it is essentially what's in the vegetables. If you're like me and feeding a few more people and some kids, I often will serve it with some rice. So that is then going to be added 20 minutes to your cooking time. So you might even do it beforehand. You can even do it the day before. Has anyone heard about cooking rice the day before, putting it in the fridge, letting it cool down, and then it's actually better for your blood sugar? So all these different options. There's several ways you can cook rice. If you're never used one before, I would recommend going onto Cookie-Doo and going to the boiled rice recipe and simply following that. If you are cooking a brown rice, and I've done a combo of brown and black rice here, I did have to increase the amount of water and the time that it takes. Generally, it's about 17 to 20 minutes for white rice. What do you reckon for basmati? Like 23?
Usually about 16, 17 I do for basmati.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, so it's similar to the other ones. And then brown rice can be up to 35 minutes, but yeah, they just vary depending on the one you're using. So this was a 30-minute rice. So if you don't want to do the boiled rice recipe, you can go to the rice cooker mode and follow that one. To be honest, I've never done it before. I've had a few people say to me, oh, no, don't like it, doesn't work, sticks to the bottom of the bowl. So I've kind of steered away from it. Have you guys had much success with the rice cooker mode?
I actually do enjoy it for those recipes. For example, the biryani rice with all the different ingredients that you've got in your fridge going in there, really colourful. So it becomes like more of a recipe using the rice cooker mode. And then there's the South African rice one, which uses like the turmeric and some raisins in there. So I've used them for that and really enjoy using the rice mode. They're in the rice mode collection when you look on your Cookie-Doo. So if you have a look at that and type in rice mode, that will come up with some recipes that way.
The other method is, I don't know if you've seen, there's a couple of recipes that use the bundt tin, and then that fits inside the varoma, and you actually cook a rice inside here. It's able to give you that level cooking. So your rice is cooking at the same time. And yeah, there's one in particular that it's called, actually, I don't know. It used to be called creamy coconut chicken curry. It's now got a slightly different name, and it makes a really nice basmati with some ghee inside. So yeah, that's another option. It doesn't have to be the mix shop bundt tin if you've got a different one, but it does need to fit into the varoma. But if you haven't got one, these are a great little thing to pick up at the mix shop because it can pair as a rice cooker, and also as a cake tin. I think we're moving on to you back.
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly show you guys the syrup because it's now cooked, and I'm just going to do this with my screen. So there's your syrup with the lemongrass in it. And so what I'm now going to do is use my simmering basket as a reverse strainer. So rather than needing a colander, you can literally just sit your simmering basket on top of your solids. And this works for things like lemonade or anything like that where you've chopped up solid ingredients. And then if it's really hot, use your spatula to hold this in place, but this is not too bad. I've got a funnel and my sterilized jar, and I'm just going to strain that syrup into my jar. Oh, it's a beautiful golden color and it smells delicious. All right, I was a bit ambitious. I sterilized 2 jars because I wasn't sure how much this would actually make. But literally now I put that in the fridge to cool down, and at the end I'm going to come back and show you how to assemble your cocktail. Guys, who are we going to next? I think we're back to you, Sally. You're going to show us some very...
Unless Angela's got anything else she wants to catch up on, or is it over to me? Is yours?
I think it's you for now, and Angela's going to show us her hot chocolate next.
Sure. Okay, so basically my lovely cashew panna cotta is ready to be popped into the Dariel molds. So I'll just do one for now, and then I'll get on with the berry sauce because that takes another 6 or so minutes. So I'll get those poured in later, and then they will go into the fridge for 3 hours to set at least, or even overnight. Overnight actually is probably better, but you can do it in a minimum of 3 hours. So back to our second bowl, because obviously that's the handy thing, because we're actually going to create the sugar to mill again for the raspberry sauce. So we're just going to pop in again. We're going to make the sauce with lemon juice, raw sugar and raspberries. Popping that on. Again, taking us through a very quick mill. It's just 8 seconds, so bear with me. So how quick and easy that you can just get your sugar out of your pantry and create these sauces as you go. So again, I've measured previously those thawed raspberries, so I'll pop those in. And I've got lemon juice, which is optional, but I reckon it will help with a little bit of the flavour and also the thickening as well. And so that is now going to go on just for a quick mix for 15 seconds, just to get that all really nice and poured. Then we're going to strain that through the jug. So basically I'm going to strain that now. And lovely, taking that off the lid. Has anyone done any thickening sauces in your Thermomix? Let us know as well whether you have as well. Okay, so this one actually isn't going to cook, but as you can see there, but it does say to strain through. So I'm going to strain that through into a jug. I'm going to give it a go with my simmering basket because I try not to use my other sieves as well. So I'm going to see how smooth this comes out.
I'm a big fan of using thickening mode to make my gravy.
Okay, and do you follow a recipe? recipe, or how do you do yours?
No, I don't. I just like kind of like your old traditional gravy, throw everything in.
Yep.
And then whatever you would normally have used. And then I just throw on thicken mode and it trilla, no stirring. I could tell people what I do, but yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so that's starting to come through now. I think a fine sieve would almost be too fine. And then after this, Beck, would you like me to go through to plate it up, or do you want to do one more presenter? And then once I've got this sauce pushed through, I can then plate up a couple of the ones I prepared earlier.
That's up to you. We can come back to you if you like, Sally.
Yeah, come back to me because I'm just sort of pushing this through the sieve so it's nice and fine.
No worries. I think we were going to go over to Angela to get started on her hot chocolate next.
Yep, easy. Sorry, I was just washing my hands quickly. I realized they still smelled of the ocean. I think that's fixed now. So for this hot chocolate, I've chosen to do a hazelnut hot chocolate. I just will give it the caveat for you that it's very, very, very rich. And if you are ambivalent about hazelnut, maybe don't try it. I really like hazelnut. I think it's a great flavor. So that's why I quite like this recipe, but it is like definitely sort of special occasion grade rich. The recipe in cookie dough is for 6. I've cut that back a bit, so I've turned that into a created recipe, so it's only going to do a portion for 4. Even that's probably a bit much, but anyway. So hopefully you might be able to see on the screen, and I'll try and show you a bit. It's just going to, because it's a created recipe, it's just going to display a bit differently. I'm going to have to do things just a tiny bit differently to how I would if I had just gone with the cookie dough version. So we'll get straight in. It's saying that it's a recipe imported by me. Very exciting having my photo on the screen on my Thermomix. So now it's basically telling me to enjoy cooking my own recipe. So I might just show, because I just want to show you what I mean here. I have actually done the first couple of steps already because I needed to soak the hazelnuts for an hour, but what it wants me to do is place. I've got my bowl on the lid there, and it's telling me I need to weigh in my hazelnuts. But what I'm going to have to do is there's a scale button here. Just bear with me. I'll see if I can show you this a bit more closely. It's probably not great, but there is a button just here for the scales that's appeared. So I'm going to have to tear that, and that's from there. I can now weigh in my hazelnuts, which you've put on a bit of weight while they've been soaking, but that's okay. I know what I'm doing here, so I'll probably just sort of keep jumping on a little bit, but it just gives you some ideas, just a couple of little extra steps. I'll try and explain as I go. But I do like, it's great to have that flexibility that you can do things a little bit differently to what Cookie Dough suggests, particularly when you want to scale down a recipe. Okay. So I've done that soaking. Sorry, now I'm just a bit confused. Nope, I know where I am. So I've got my soaked hazelnuts, and just like I was saying before, I'm just on this screen now. I'm going to press this little icon that's my hazelnuts in, and then I'm going to weigh in 500 grams of water. So we basically start by making a hazelnut milk. And then now to actually use the chop function with the blade, I've got a little blade icon on my touch screen. I'm going to press that. Everything's still programmed for me. It's just that extra step of having to hit that blade button to get to this next screen. Becca, I don't know if you want to put some commentary over the top of me, but this is going to be at, what did you say, 10,000 revs per minute? And it's going to be doing that for 2 minutes.
10,700. I learned something new today, which is the same speed as a jet engine. Just saying.
Here you go. All right, look, I was going to do this next, but I might just quickly jump in while we've got that minute and pour out our cocktail. So I've got my glasses with some ice. In fact, I just realized my syrup is still in the freezer and it's not going to be cold yet, but you'll get the picture. So you just want a couple of teaspoons of your syrup in your glass. There we go. I'm just going to pour it over my ice to cool it down as I go. And then we're going to pop the cork. Ready? Oh, I hate this bit. Woo! Prosecco. There we go. So we're going to top up the syrup with our Prosecco. I'm the only one home to drink this, by the way. Top that up. And then we're going to garnish. So the recipe says to garnish with a slice of lime and some mint. So you could do that, but I've also got some kaffir lime leaves in the garden. So I just thought that might be nice as well. So a little bit of lime, a little bit of lime leaf. And that's a good way to kick off Valentine's Day on my own. Cheers, guys. There we go. There's your cocktails. All right, Angela should be done by now, so let's get back to her. No, she's still muted. She's still waiting. Oh gosh, I might
I'm
have
good. I can go.
to. All right, go Anna.
No, go, Sally. You go.
Oh, you could go if you've got. Have you got more steps? I've only got the plating up now. That's all. Okay. So I will be popping my 6 Dariol moles with my panna cotta into the fridge for at least 3 hours, but I have got a couple I have prepared earlier. So I have done these before. They do soften a little bit onto the plate, but I think that's part of the picture. So let's see how we go. It does say using a hot knife to go around. This is the moment of truth. So let's pop that one on. Ta-da. I was going to actually even think about freezing them for 10 minutes just to give them that stiffness, but I haven't. There's other thickeners and similar recipes you can do with gelatin, for example, as well. This one basically is almost like a plant-based panna cotta, so suitable for vegetarians and vegans. Come on, wiggle it out. Ta-da. And then I'm going to just now drizzle the raspberry sauce over our examples. Luckily, there's 2 of us home tonight for a rehearsal Valentine's dish. And then I'll just garnish with a little bit of mint from the garden, and I'll just show you the finished dish.
Ooh, pretty.
There you go.
Gorgeous.
And I'll have a little taste test when we do later. Okay.
$4 for that in a restaurant.
Oh, yes, at least.
Okay, so mine's all done too. I've got all the different parts to this meal, and now because it is Valentine's Day special, we're going to plate it up nicely. Normally I just kind of throw it all on the plate. So the way that the picture shows is that you do the veggies at the bottom. So I'll put some of the zucchini, and plating up's not my forte, by the way. So if it looks a little bit interesting, we can blame me. And some of these bok choy as well. And then we're going to be putting this salmon. Oh gosh, let's see if this gets picked. No, let's go with the big one. This one sits on top here. And then we drizzle it with these delicious sauces. So we've got a little bit of this one. And then also some of these cashews as well can kind of sit on top as well. It's okay if a few fall off. Now, in terms of the rug, Beck had a really great suggestion. I'll just zoom out a little bit. In using these Dariol molds to make a nice pretty shape for my rice. So I assume I've never done this.
So you might need to grab a spoon, Anna, and just kind of pack it in.
Yeah, okay.
Because
So
if
really
you pack
push
it
it
in, yeah, pack it in so it sort of molds in there.
You know what else would make a cool shape is those little bamboo bowls that I've been using earlier.
Yeah,
That little
absolutely.
rounded shape.
Yep. So pack it in, and then when you upend it on your plate, hopefully it'll make a little tower and not just go.
Yeah. Yeah. There we go.
There you go. Now, Angela, sorry, darling, we were going to come back to you to strain your nuts.
All good, all good. So this is where for me, because my next step after straining this is going to be back into a thermo jug. So I've just pulled out the second jug, and I've just got sitting in my jug is a nut milk bag that you can get from the mix shop. So I'm just going to pour that in to start straining that through. So it's just going to take all the hazelnut meal out and just leave us with our hazelnut milk, our 500 grams of water that we put in before. So I'm just going to speed that up and just give it a good squish so that we can actually have hot chocolate before the end of the class.
Right, I've got one more thing to show everyone, so you've got the time.
Beautiful.
We were going to wait and see how much time we had tonight, everybody, because some of you might have noticed behind me, I have grabbed out my Thermomix cutter because we have a really special host reward starting soon and I want to talk about it. So I'm glad we've got the time for me to show you that.
All right. I won't worry about that anymore. There's enough in here for demonstration purposes. So I've got my water, my milk, sorry. My sister works in dairy. She doesn't like me calling nut milk's milk. There's that all ready to go. So I get into my next step, which is the exciting part where I actually add the chocolate. So I'm just going to weigh that in 150 pieces of dark chocolate in small pieces or Calais. I've got some Calais tonight, so I'll just weigh that in. Now, it does also say here to put in 25 grams of agave syrup. I just personally think it's sweet enough, so it is just a matter of preference. I don't actually worry about that step. And then I can step in here for my 5.5 minutes at 90 degrees. So I will turn that on now and send you back to Beck for a nice look at our exciting new host reward.
Yay! I'm super excited about this. So, guys, most of you probably now have heard of the cutter. Drop me a comment if you already own the cutter and what your thoughts are. But the next accessory that's coming for your Thermomix, and this works with a TM5 or a TM6, it's called the spiralizer. So this allows you to do beautiful ribbons of vegetables and also like zoodles. So it makes spirals, little zoodles. So I thought I'd give you a quick look at that tonight. This is not a Valentine's recipe by any stretch. This is a quick carrot spicy pickle. And I haven't had an opportunity to make the pickling liquid, but I'm just going to talk about it. I thought the main thing was to show you this amazing bit of gear. So for those who haven't seen what the cutter looks like, let me quickly run through the parts. So inside your Thermomix bowl, you have a cutter shaft. So that sits inside on top of the blades, a bit like your like where your butterfly whisk goes. It just sits down on top. To that, let me just remove these little bits. You've got a little tub with a hole in the bottom, and that's what is going to capture all of our grating, slicing, shredding, or tonight spirals. So then what we've got is the spiralizer. So let me just remove it from the lid. So this is it here. So you can see here this green cutting disc. That's what's going to make our zoodles. It also comes with another one which does the spirals. So you literally just slide this out and then this bit pulls apart. You change over the disc and you're ready to do the next thing. So that sits inside your Thermomix that way. And just like with the cutter, you put the little spindle down through the hole with the chute over the top of the cutting disc. I made that mistake the first time. I accidentally put it the wrong way and it didn't work. So this recipe, guys, it is a cookie do one. It's called spiralized spicy pickled carrots. Let me just quickly start the recipe. It wanted me to weigh out 400 to 500 grams of carrots. I've got them already here and prepped. So what you're going to do, the other part that comes with your spiralizer, it's a special pusher. So like the cutter, but it's got little grabbers on the end. Bit like if anyone has like a V slicer that's got the little prongs and that's what holds the vegetable, that's what this is for. So we're going to push the carrot firmly into the end so it doesn't move when we push it down. And then what we're going to do is turn on the spiralizer mode. So the recipe did that automatically. That is a manual mode on your TM6. On the 5s, you do need to use your manual settings. I think it's speed 4, forward and reverse, depending on what you're doing. But let's kick this off and I'll show you what it looks like. So that was one carrot. And I might not do all of them tonight. I'm not going to do the whole salad. I'm just going to give you an idea of what it looks like. So are we ready? That's it in the bowl. And when I pick them up, we've got these gorgeous kind of little stringy bits, like zoodles. So you can do that with zucchinis. You can do it with sweet potato, anything like that. So again, like Anna, and a really nice low carb option instead of using pasta or spaghetti. But really, that for our recipe is going to go in a jar. Sterilize your jar if you want to. Let me just grab some tongs. So what we're going to do, we're going to put our carrot in our jar, and I will need to do a little bit more to go in here. So in with the carrots, we're going to put just some sliced onions. So you can also use the cutter to do your onions. Because I was only doing one, I did this one by hand, but you can use, if you're like me, like I make hundreds of jars of pickles every year. So I use the cutter for doing the slicing for those. So in the jar, we're also going to put some garlic. I've got just a little chili. The recipe says to use sliced jalapenos, but I had some little red chilies, so that's what I'm using. A couple of little sprigs of dill. Sorry, my jar's too big for this quantity of carrot. Anyway, so that goes in there. The pickling liquid is literally white vinegar, water, sugar, and some mustard seeds. And once that's cooked for 10 minutes, you pour it over the top, seal your jar, let it cool, and that's your pickles done. Sound good? What do we think of the spiralizer, guys? I haven't looked at the comments. Has anyone got comments? No? Anna, do you want to tell us how you can get one?
Yeah. So they've just been released as our latest host reward. So all you need to do is get in touch with your consultant and either a virtual or a in-person demo with a couple of friends, and you will get your hands on one for a reduced price. If you got the numbers there, go on.
The number. I threw it to you because I needed to pick up the piece of paper it was hiding. All right, so for people who already have a cutter and just need the spiralizer, the host price is $149. So that's all you'll pay for your spiralizer when you host a demo with 2 guests. If one of your guests buys a Thermomix, you only pay $19 for your spiralizer, which is pretty cool. If you don't yet have the cutter though, and you need to get the cutter plus the spiralizer, the host price is $219. So that's a saving of about $80 off the top of my head. And then if your guest buys a Thermomix, you only pay $39 for your cutter and the spiralizer, which I think is fantastic. So have a bit of a think about who you could share your passion for the Thermomix with and who you'd like to invite along to your demo. As Anna said, you can do it in person, you can do it online. The good thing about demos though is it's a bit like tonight. It gives you an opportunity to ask questions of your consultant, learn about your Thermomix, try some new recipes, and it's really fun. So if you haven't had one yet and you've had your Thermomix for a while, definitely have one. You don't just have to have a demo when you're buying your Thermomix. You can have as many as you like, okay? I'm just looking here. It does have a little pull out and twist action.
We get a little photo.
Yeah, we should do that. How, Angela, how's your hot chocolate looking? You're on, yep, there we go, on mute.
It's all cooked up, so I'm just pouring it into the mugs now. Pop some mini marshmallows in there, so it's, I hope that's coming across on the screen. It's incredibly rich and decadent. One quick trick I will show you is instead of trying to drink all of that tonight, which I probably could manage if I put my mind to it, let's be honest, but instead what I can do is pop that away in the fridge and then come back to it tomorrow, go to my warm-up mode. So if you didn't, just when you swipe to the side, warm-up mode, and I've gone to the wrong mode, of course, because I'm looking at it from the wrong angle. Go into the warm-up mode, and then that lets me set the temperature. I just pop it back in the jug, back into my bowl, back into the machine, and then I can set, it defaults to 65 degrees, but I can set how hot, how warm I want that to reheat to. And then I just come over here, turn that on, it'll lock it all down, and then it will just ping for me when it's hit that temperature. So might avoid me overloading on chocolate tonight. I think that's what I'm going to do.
Gorgeous. All right. Anna, can you screenshot and show your dish? Because I don't think I can.
Oh, let me get my dish out. Oh,
Oh, hang on. Shift, Command, 4. All right, let's see if I can do this. Are we ready? Oh, I got it. All right, guys. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm going to stick around and the girls will stick around if anyone has any more questions. I did see someone there mentioned that their consultant is no longer in our business. So we can definitely put you in touch with someone if that is the case. I will follow everyone up with an email probably tomorrow that will have the link to the recording. You'll get a little ebook of all the recipes. I'll attach the Host Rewards catalogue so you've got that information. But I'd like to thank the girls who came along and gave their time tonight. Angela, Anna, Sally, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Beck.
Oh, that's all right. I wish I was in German, but that's okay. Next time. Oh, look at that. Natasha, you're going to have to come join the team. Look at that. She's taken a screenshot of us.
Oh, thanks, Natasha.
he's already with me.
That's better than us.
Come on, guys. In fact, Natasha, I'm hoping will be on the next class with the Coastal Gems presenter.
Fantastic. Welcome. That's amazing.
But
All right.
also, thank you, Beck, for your ebook. So everybody, when you get the email tomorrow, have open and save the ebook. I think there's a lot of work in that, and Beck has done a great job putting it together. Thank you.
You're welcome, everybody. Like I said, we'll stick around, but that's it for the class. I'm going to turn off the recording. And if I can find the stop recording button, there it is.